Hello! I have recently learned a forbidden art that allows me to play old games at better resolutions, faster speeds, and better frame rates. Which means I'm binging some PlayStation 1 games. And my first game was Parasite Eve. But that's not the game we'll be talking about. I've been wanting to get in touch with my roots. I kind of built up my following playing old games, and frankly, modern games aren't tickling me the way they used to. So, with this newfound power of mine, I decided to start up my retro journey with Legend of Legaia. But first, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's make Legend of Legaia relevant in 2025. And get me to 60k subs. Thank you. Our story begins with a lore dump. God created humans and then gifted them Seru, tools that obeyed humans and enhanced their powers. When not attached to a human, they look like stone figures. However, mist was brought upon the land and it made Seru begin to attack humans, and even possessed humans that wore them. Which takes us to the town of Rim Elm, where we meet Vahn, our silent protagonist. Rim Elm is surrounded by a tall wall to keep the mist at bay, and when the mist dies down, they send out hunters to gather food, and that's their way of life. In the center of Rim Elm is a beautiful, vibrant green tree, known as the Genesis Tree, which would be a key piece in saving Rim Elm for when an evil mage teleports into the town and summons a great monster to break down the wall, letting Seru invade. Chaos ensues, and Vahn runs to the faintly glowing Genesis Tree and meets Meta, a raw Seru, a special kind of Seru that isn't affected by mist. She says together they can end the mist. Vahn agrees to team up, and Meta uses her power to awaken the Genesis Tree that drives away the mist. While Rim Elm is saved, mist still lives all throughout the world of Legaia, and thus Vahn sets out to awaken all the Genesis trees, while meeting two unlikely allies who gain their own Seru. Noah, a young girl raised by a wolf who knows little of the outside world. She's very childish. Apparently she's 12, so that checks out. She was funny, had her moments, and frankly, she brought out the best in my favorite character, Gala, an exiled Biran monk who constantly scolds her for goofing around. You gotta have the straight man to counteract someone who's acting so silly, you know? Noah is paired with Terra, a motherly raw Seru, as she's the one who raised Noah since she was a baby, originally attached to a wolf, awaiting when Noah became old enough to attach to her. And Ozma is Gala's trusty raw Seru, who came across as a wise old man. I think they have the most interesting relationship at first, because Gala is distrusting of all Seru. While awakening Genesis trees is a start, it isn't enough, as the crew seeks to destroy all 4 mist generators, the machines creating the blasted mist in the first place. It's a pretty straightforward story, with a few cute surprises. I absolutely enjoyed it for what it was. And I have to give credit to some of these arcs. It had that 90s cheese, like a village that used windmills to stave off the mist. And yet, they still foolishly wore Seru, knowing damn well if, for some reason, the windmills stopped working, they'd be possessed and their quaint little village would be lost. I really did enjoy the simple nature of a town being in distress, awakening the tree, you save the town, being the reward, access to their shops, inns, talking with locals, coming out of their rage, coming to terms with what they've done while possessed by Seru. Or on the flip side, with the windmill arc I described, the town was good, but then it wasn't. But Legend of Legaia isn't remembered fondly for its story or characters. Its shining feature was its unique and incredibly fun and experimental gameplay. It really took me back to being a child. Press buttons and see what happens. You're able to choose what part of the body of an enemy you want to strike, and this is so important because sometimes enemies don't have a lower half, so selecting low is a guaranteed miss. Or if they have a shield in one arm, it's likely they'll block, so maybe don't target that arm. Now if you hit buttons in a certain order, you'll learn a new art, which is just a cool move. Auto attack automatically selects a sequence for you, and you can learn new arts this way too. All arts cost art points, or AP, which is gained automatically each turn, but also can be gained through spirit. This puts the character in a defensive stance, significantly decreasing all incoming damage, raising your block rate, which is amazing by the way because some turns you just won't take damage, and it extends your attack bar. This means more room to input commands. This is where it gets good, allowing you to string together more combos and use more arts that require more space. Stringing together combos feels great. You can use the last input of your previous art to string into the next art. Thankfully, you don't need to memorize these inputs as you can pull them up during battle. Hyper arts are typically learned from books and teachers, which are also more powerful and hard-hitting. Now there are arts that are specific chain combinations of normal arts that will activate a super art at the end. Unlike other types of arts, they are not recorded in the menu of arts. which is weird. And also, I would have never found out any of these on my own without pulling up the wiki. And frankly, same with miracle arts. In fact, I discovered this in the second to last dungeon area via the wiki. But miracle arts are the ultimate arts that require 99 AP. I was curious to see if there was any way for me to learn these in-game, and apparently you just have to get super lucky with your inputs or have a guide. And I absolutely would say after a point, yeah, pull up a guide, see what you're missing. This is part of the course of cryptic 90s titles. That said, finding these high-level arts is far from mandatory, as I didn't discover them till the end game. Hyper arts will carry you just fine. Arts truly are the coolest thing to learn and execute. I'm not into fighting games whatsoever, I'm terrible at them. But what a great integration of fighting games and RPGs. Because to an extent, I felt like I was playing a fighting game, inputting commands that sure aren't executed right away, like a traditional fighting game, but when their turn came up, seeing the string of kicks and punches and knowing I did that. And the dynamic camera, I love that it was all martial arts. Sure, you can equip characters with axes and knives, and it looks ridiculous how they hold them. Who the fuck holds an axe like this, Gala? But cool martial arts moves aren't the only thing you can do. Thanks to the powers of raw Seru, they can absorb other Seru and summon them into battle. Each Seru has an element. The more you use that Seru, it levels up, dealing more damage. Status effects, or if it's a healing one, it cures poison, rot, and additional ailments. I love this system as it encourages players to use magic, especially healing magic. However, magic kinda sucks. One thing, it's expensive in the beginning. Depending on the character, it's better to string together arts than it is to use magic. Truly, the only spells I found useful were all the healing ones and Kamaro, an offensive earth spell that does stupid damage. 2, most bosses are immune to the majority of debuffs and status effects. Other enemies don't really need debuffing, as you could pretty much pound them in with arts. And 3, how dumb is this? The best magic user is Gala, the monk. You know, the folks that fight with their fists? Yeah, he has the highest MP pool and high intelligence, although my Vahn was a beast with magic, but inherently, it's Gala. That said though, I do encourage using every magic at least once to see the cool summon animation. The challenge of Legend of Legaia, I'd say, is difficult at first. I think the early boss fights could give anyone some trouble. The Berserker is truly a test of your understanding of the mechanics, but as you level up and get more accessories, that's the key here, players will be just fine. Toward the end game, I found it pretty easy, save for a few fights here and there. While you'll never have to grind for levels, you will have to grind for money, which will earn you levels, so yeah, equipment is expensive in Legaia. But that won't be too difficult because the encounter rate does lean on the higher side. But there are items to counteract that. I think my only critique that I had the means to mitigate was how slow things were. Walking on the overworld, I couldn't do it. Load times could also be a bit brutal. Or magic. While cool to see the first time, it got old real quick considering I was only using like 4 spells. Now, I know Legend of Legaia may not be the prettiest, but damn, I was smitten with these graphics. Again, it took me back to a simpler time, and yes, I enhanced them so they're sharper than what they'd normally be, but I thought they looked fantastic. I love their squished, chibier appearance on the overworld and cutscenes, Gala having 3 circles, I mean, Septicons, thank you comment section, for their arms. What? You thought women want a man with a 6-pack? Nah, men with bodies of the Master Emerald are in. But in battle, they became fully fleshed out beings, and we got to see them kick absolute ass. Also, one of the few games that change characters' appearance in battle, depending on what they're equipped with, which is such a small thing that I greatly appreciate. I got new shiny weapons and armor, so why wouldn't I want to see it? Also, with every Genesis tree revived, the raw Seru grow in level, and even they change their appearance. I thought I was tripping at first. Even the pre-rendered scenes look great. I was impressed. And finally, the music? I'd say it's a pretty solid soundtrack, and I absolutely had a few bangers. I appreciate the detail of the overworld theme changing based if there's mist or if the land is mist free. Good battle themes, boss themes, it's pretty par of the course as far as JRPGs go. The bangers though, one from the dance area, I know I've said this many times, but it's a 90s game, baby, and it carries that vibe with the song Wanna Wanna. But the real hype music comes from Conquering Mist Generators. Yo, when I first heard this song, I was ready to dance. I was ready to wind it. It has that tribal beat that I'm really into, so it was an instant love for me. But then, there was a second theme. You know how in Persona 5, when it's the day you're stealing someone's malevolent intent, the music changes to Life Will Change? It gets you hype? I felt the same way for Mist Generator Fortress Theme 2, except the first time you hear it, this song isn't when conquering a Mist Generator, which made it not only more surprising, but also hit harder. Really enjoyed my time with Legend of Legaia. Easily another PlayStation 1 gem. My biggest struggle with JRPGs as of late is they all feel very homogenized. And I needed something refreshing, so this was it. It's short, 40 hours, there's some side content in there, the battle system is fantastic, and a lot of fun. I love the simple journey with some dips of depth. I highly recommend this game, and I hope many others get to play it along with Wild Arms and Parasite Eve. Also PlayStation 1 gems that I can't shut the fuck up about. And of course, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, join the Patreon, join the Discord. We like to have fun. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, mwah!